talk to us about being integrated into a new family because your mom remarried.
Yeah, I used to sleep with my mom for a long time, and then one night I went to go get in the bed and he was in there. It just happened. Like, who the hell is this dude?
Oh yeah.
My man Rocksteady, Freddie, in the building. Well, really, I'm in your building, but welcome to the Gems Table Talk. Thank you so very much for having us be here to be able to hopefully inspire greatness into everybody that is listening and watching, because you are definitely someone that does walk in his greatness and is obviously proven that and is still proving that. So thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. It was a good intro.
In order to truly understand if we're getting any positive feedback from the treatment, let's do a little bit of movement test so that we can do the treatment, have the conversation, and then retest at the end to see if we did anything good, all right?
All right, bet.
Let's start by coming behind the table. Everything we're gonna do, you've done before, hands on the table, heels up, and all you're gonna do is just slowly allow yourself to get into as much knee bend as possible. And all you're doing is listening to the snap, crackle, and pop, even by me.
We both got that.
And now we're just feeling or listening to what we feel in our knees. Okay, use your hands to stand up, and then go ahead and give everybody a little bit of feedback. What'd you feel mainly? What are the adjectives that come to mind?
Just a little bit of a stretch, a little, tightness, stiffness in the knees.
Absolutely.
As you go down, and obviously the snap, crackle, pop for sure.
There it is. Yeah, perfect. Now we will do what clinically they call a Thomas test. It's just your hip flexor length. So you'll just sit here with your butt at the edge of the table, and we do this stretch all the time. Yep, you got it. So we're just hanging, and basically I'm just gonna hold your leg here. You're just gonna allow your leg to drop. And we're just seeing, ideally the knee would like to be in line with the hip. It's slightly up. So generally that means we have some tightness here. And then obviously if I bend your knee, you feel that transition into your quad, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Switch sides just to get a comparison. And we'll do it like this for the camera. And it seems as though this side actually is a little more tight. So I'm also taking these appraisals as well. Okay, you can go ahead and scooch all the way back onto the table, staying on your back. Yep. Okay, hamstring length. So all we're gonna do is just check your hamstring flexibility. Lock this knee out, pull these toes up. Same thing here. We're gonna keep this leg down, but we're gonna lift this leg up. Yep. And you're gonna get as high as you can, which that's really good actually. 90 degrees is what we like. Let's see what the other side looks like. And even better. So right side seems a little bit more congested, both hamstring and hip flexion, which I'm sure you already knew about. And then lastly, we will do ankle dorsiflexion. We'll come in front of the table this way, and we'll ask the camera to get low. You'll just be here. You can just mirror me. And all we're gonna try and do is, without letting the heel come up off the floor, drive that knee over the toe. How far can you get that knee over the toe? And the knee is over the toe, which is pretty good. So looking at how far the knee over the toe is, we're gonna try and get a little bit more range during the treatment. Go ahead and face this way, do the same thing other side. This is our right side. And it looks like there's a little bit more flexibility in your right ankle. So that gives us a pretty good baseline of what's happening in your body. We're gonna do some work to hopefully create some improvement, and we'll kind of go from there.
All
right, perfect. So let's start on your back. So we got our baseline, know exactly where I want to go with my treatment, but I think the main reason why everybody's tuning in is to hear from you and not really listen to me talk. So let's start with Rockford, Illinois, AKA The Rock.
Yeah.
Just go ahead and give us a little insight on like where are you from, your childhood, and we can kind of go from there.
Yeah, so Rockford is a small town outside of Chicago, to the northwest, and maybe 150,000, 200,000 people, so smaller town.
Right.
Not a major city, and one of those old manufacturing cities that kind of got left behind. But a real big sports town, as you can imagine. There's not really much else to do. So you know, it's a big sports town, and that was a huge part of my childhood coming up was playing sports, and one of those things that keep you out of trouble for sure.
Right, I was gonna say you probably use that as your safe haven, right?
Yeah,
it's probably something that kept you out the streets a little bit.
For sure. It keeps you motivated, it keeps you focused, you know, it keeps you distracted from, you know, whatever else is going on. It just allows you to be a kid and allows you to, you know, just have a goal and put something in mind that you want to strive towards. And, you know, it's fun. Everybody like to play sports. So,
right.
I mean, I started basketball at 5 and eventually played a little football, played a little baseball, but basketball was the one thing that just I never stopped doing.
And like, when did you realize that basketball was the mission? Like, when was it like, you know what, basketball is where I'm going. This is my future.
Maybe like 8th grade, because I had to make a choice between basketball and football going to high school. It was like that time for me to see which one I wanted to, you know, take more serious, and basketball won out for a lot of different reasons, but the high school team sucked at the time. And I could feel the physicality, like, because I was the little brother, so the gap between me at 14 and my brother at 17, you know, it was getting bigger and bigger. That gap was getting bigger, so I always played up, and I just couldn't imagine myself playing up in football.
Right.
So then once I got to that mindset, and I was like, all right, I definitely don't want to play with them. So what I'm gonna do when I go to college? Oh, what I'm gonna do when I go to the NFL?
Right.
And I was like, no, I'm cool. I'm gonna just stick with basketball.
I'm gonna say you like perfect strong safety size.
Yeah.
6'1", 200. That's a nice strong safety coming downhill.
I was cool, and I played real like physical, real well coached little league football. So like I had a good experience with playing, but you know, definitely just went with the smarter play at the time. And,
well,
you know,
I think
it
it
worked out for me.
Definitely worked out for the best. Not to be Captain Obvious, but talk to us about being integrated into a new family, because your mom remarried.
Yep.
And now you have 2 new brothers. You got, you know, Mr. Joe Danforth. Shout out to Coach Joe. Like, give us a little insight on how that first initial experience was, because I'm sure it was difficult.
Yeah.
And then, you know, kind of go into like how it blossomed into what it is now.
Yeah, I mean, it happened pretty fast. You know, as kids, there's just so much things that you're not really paying attention to. So the whole time they was, you know, seeing each other and dating and warming up to each other, like I really wasn't even paying attention.
Right.
Like I didn't even know, you know what I mean? I used to sleep with my mom for a long time, and then one night I went to go get in the bed and he was in there. You know, it just happened. Like, it was just one of those things. Yeah, I'm like, who the hell is this dude?
Right.
So it was just one of those things. And then, you know, a couple months later, like we were moving in, it just happened fast. And the blessing was obviously having 2 more brothers, just because of how me and, you know, Darnell were at the time, and just how close, and, you know, things just having 2 more brothers is just like we were in heaven. But the other part was just like adjusting our whole life and moving and being in a different neighborhood and going to a different school, and all not by our choice, by mom's choice.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that was very tough.
Did you fight it?
Oh, I fought it till I'm still fighting it. I fought it for a long time, and struggled a lot with it at first. And you know, Pops is definitely a tough customer, and he was tough on us from the rip. Like, we went from pretty much being able to do whatever we want to like military style discipline, you know, chores, cleaning, don't touch my pop, don't, you know what I mean? You gotta clean up, you gotta doing bed checks. Like, it was pretty big change for me as a young kid.
Sure.
And I was actually a good kid, and I still struggle with it, but yeah, it was tough for sure.
But looking back on it, could you give us maybe some insight on how it influenced you as a young man, and then finally becoming who you are today?
Yeah, well, I mean, I took it in as a kid. You know, I was listening. I just didn't see the point at the time.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Because I knew that in my heart I was going to do the right thing anyway. So it was a little extra when I was, you know, at that point. But it really wasn't until I went away to college and I was on my own. And it's actually when me and him got a lot closer when I left, because then I could appreciate, everything that had taught us and all of the stuff that I learned. And I tell him this too, to this day, like I learned a lot from him on what to do and what not to do. I learned so much discipline and just paying attention to detail and just being aware of surroundings. And I was just sharp, I was just a sharp young kid. And going into a new experience, which was college basketball, it was one thing that had me, ahead of the curve, being able to deal with tough coaching and, schoolwork and the ups and downs and friends and whatever, like just being sharp and being focused. I think that's one thing that I give him a lot of credit for.
That's what's up. And I second that. My dad wasn't the best dad either, but he gave me so many real life lessons and tools that helped me be who I am today. So I definitely give him credit for that as well. Let's stretch this quad. So you're going to face down, left foot over here. Let's get into more fun talk.
Yeah.
How did he train you? I understand that he was heavy into boxing.
Yeah.
Got your hands right. Like, let's talk about like those days, because, you got to give it to him. He obviously did a good job with that as well.
Yeah, no doubt.